Hey everybody, look right over here at the screen. Make sure your body is still and that you're ready to hear God's word. As we learned last week, the country of Egypt was going to go through a period of time where there would not be enough food. It's called a famine. Because of God's master plan for Joseph, there was plenty of food for the people of Egypt. People from all over were coming to Egypt to buy food. Because Joseph was the person in charge of the entire country's food, everyone who needed to buy food from Egypt came to him, including 10 of his very own brothers. Wait, didn't he have 11 brothers? He sure did. Benjamin stayed behind in Canaan with his dad. There was Joseph working his normal job in Egypt, and his very own brothers who sold him into slavery when he was a boy were now standing in front of him. Dun, dun, dun. Can you even imagine what he was thinking? Wouldn't you know it? They didn't even recognize him. Joseph knew it was them, but he did not reveal who he was. They bowed down to Joseph. Wait, that part sounds familiar. Was his dream playing out and actually happening? The very dream he was given as a young boy. So what does Joseph say to his brothers? Any guesses, Bayside Kids? Okay, I heard a few guesses. Well, he accused his brothers of being spies. They pleaded with him and tried to explain that they were just simple brothers from Canaan. One brother at home and the other brother was gone. Joseph commanded that one of the brothers be put into prison while the other brothers traveled back to Canaan with the food for the family. If they were really telling the truth and were not spies, then they would come back with their brother Benjamin. The brothers said to themselves that all this must be happening as a punishment for what they had done to Joseph in the past. You see, they still did not recognize it was Joseph. Joseph had some big decisions to make. How will he act towards his brothers? Will they act with love and honesty this time? Remember, today's bottom line is plan to forgive. Let's say that together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Plan to forgive. We should keep going in our story to see what will happen. So, the brothers who were allowed to travel back home bought grain from Egypt and traveled back to Canaan to get their brother Benjamin, while Simeon stayed behind in the Egyptian prison. Soon, they realized that not only were their sacks full of grain, but the money that they had used to buy was also there. They seemed confused. Jacob was so upset with this whole situation and was afraid of losing another son. He would not let Benjamin go back with him. Some time passed and all the food was now gone. They needed to go back and buy more food, but they needed Benjamin to go with them. Jacob wasn't thrilled with this idea, but eventually he allowed it. When Joseph's brothers finally got to Egypt with Benjamin, they still did not recognize that this governor of Egypt was really their brother. Simeon is released from prison and Joseph sees his brother Benjamin has joined them. The brothers kept their word. Joseph told his servant to bring them to his house and prepare a huge meal. While at the dinner, Joseph kept asking about Jacob, his dad, and if he was still alive. After dinner, Joseph had his servants load up sacks of grain for the brothers' trip back home, but he also asked his servants to put a silver cup in Benjamin's bag. On the way back to Canaan, the brothers were confronted about stealing the cup. Naturally, they were confused because they didn't even know they had the cup. The whole group headed back to Joseph's house to face judgment. Joseph was looking to see if their character had changed. Were their hearts changed, or would they behave the same way they had in the past? Joseph is testing them to see if their character has changed. So he confronted them about stealing the cup. He said that all the brothers could go except the one who had the cup. Any guesses on which brother had the silver cup hidden in his bag? You guessed it. Benjamin. He would have to stay behind and become a slave. The brothers began pleading to Joseph, telling him how they had promised their father that they would bring Benjamin back with them. One brother even offered to take Benjamin's place. He said he couldn't stand to think of how sad their father would be if Benjamin did not return home. We all have choices in our lives. In our story about Joseph, he appears to be at one of those choice-making moments. He has another big decision to make, and his family is standing right in front of him. Imagine 3 doors, and he has to choose the right one. Behind door number 1, should he be mean to his brothers like they did to him? He has reason to, right? I mean, he could justify it and go tell everyone his side of the story. He could use his power to send them all into slavery. So let's go look at his decisions again. Behind door number 2, does he let his brother Benjamin return home? I mean, that is his brother. He knows his dad really wants to see him again. So there is another decision he could choose. Lastly, door number 3. Will he reveal who he really is? Will he let forgiveness in his heart for his brothers? What will Joseph decide? Let's say today's bottom line, plan to forgive, together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Plan to forgive. Part of God's master plan for our life definitely involves forgiveness towards others. If you can't wait till next week to see what Joseph will do, you can read Genesis chapter 45. I know I can't wait to find out what happens next. See you real soon.